Hi, I'm Marty Grisani, and this is The Marty Grisani Show. As a full-time real estate investor and business owner, I have a real fascination of finding the key principles for business success and personal development. This show is a reflection of my personal mission to find out what truly makes somebody successful in business and in life. We will find tools and tactics that they've used to reach those levels. If you're the type of person who is not satisfied with average and you have a hunger for learning that will never cease, this show is for you. Welcome to the show.
Well, you know what's so funny is I remember vividly, dude, I remember it so clearly. It was probably 2015, and it was my first FREIA meeting, which for those listening, that's the Freedom Real Estate. It's an investor association in Rochester, but they're in a couple of different places. They're really great meetups. And I just remember how busy you were. And I was like, you came in, you were on the phone, you were taking another phone call. And I go, I just want to be busy like that. Because I knew you were just in action. So here's a question and I wanted that. I wanted to have action. And I really was like, this is the guy. Like, this guy is doing it. This is what I wanted.
I think you've more than done that and then some.
Well,
then some, Marty.
But here's what I really appreciate about you is you were the person that inspired me, and we all need inspiration. We all need motivation. But I was reading this book, Joe, on Sam Zell and his life. And one of the things that he kept talking about, in the beginning of the book, was urgency. And he's like, I can't believe other people don't have this burn in them where they need to wake up and make something happen. You have that, and the people that I have on my show have that. It's kind of like what I've seen is the difference maker when people go, well, why is this person successful? Or why is this woman successful? It's like they have urgency. Do you think that's true? Do you think when you wake up, you got to get it and make it happen every single day?
100%, especially in the beginning. Some people know my background, some people don't. I don't come from anything spectacular. I got involved in real estate at 24, got into another business at 28, went broke at 36 years old. Okay. I went back to mowing lawns, making $12 an hour, got back into construction. For a while I was living on my buddy's, his 6-year-old daughter's twin bed. I'll never forget that Dora the Explorer for a bedspread. 36 years old. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. For me, I had a huge sense of urgency because I had to start over again at 36 years old. And, and for everybody, people who don't know me, I went to school, I graduated. I didn't graduate college. I quituated. So I suck at computers. I've always loved real estate. Okay. And, but I knew that doing construction was just not going to work for me, And, so, for me, I used to have to wake up at around 4:15, 5 o'clock in the morning every day. But I knew I didn't care if I stayed up till 1 o'clock in the morning. I did what I had to do to get out of the situation that I was in. And, just so that way people realize, yes, you have a sense of urgency, but don't get to the point where I was at. And I tell people just so that way you can, take a look as far as what was going on. When I was in construction, you ever see those portalettes, those portable toilets?
Yeah.
When they flipped over, I'll give you a guess as who they called to pick them up.
Oh, Uncle Joe.
My journey through real estate was through the portalette. Okay. Wow. So when you look at them and I look at them, especially at a concert venue, I look at them at a heck of a lot different than most people. Okay.
Oh my God.
Just get some context. Okay. So yes, a sense of urgency was an understatement. Plus, when you're 36 years old, you're 4 years from 40 and you have nothing going on. A sense of urgency is an understatement. Okay. And there were days where I'd stay up till, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. I'd have to be up at 4:15, drive an hour and change to where I had to go. But soon as work was done, I was real estate mode and I did what I had to do. It wasn't that wasn't who I was. It was who I was at the time and what I had to do to get and become who I wanted to be.
Right. So who was your mentor? Like who did you look at? Like I looked at you, and I know you don't want to take that, but you're gonna have to, because I'm having you on here. You were somebody who inspired me. So you're just gonna have to take that, because this is not a time to be humble. You are somebody who inspires a lot of people. You're one of the first people, I believe, in upstate New York to do creative real estate. And it's something that needs to be told. It's a story that needs to be told. So going back to you though, in your start, obviously very humble beginnings, more humble than you probably even want to tell people. But who was someone that you saw and you go, wow, that's somebody I also want to emulate? Is there somebody in town that was somebody that like you were like, man, that guy's busy, that guy's doing it?
I remember one time when I was doing real estate. Actually, it was Bob Migliorati. I'll never forget this. This was when I was beginning, and he shows up at a house we were showing him, and then he liked the house. He goes, I'll just write you a check out of my checkbook for this thing. I don't need to get a loan. And I was like, I've never forgotten that. I said, one day I want to be able to say that. I can't wait. So I'm just going to write you a check out of my checkbook. What? This is a house in Canandaigua. I've never forgotten it. He shows up in a Mercedes, flip-flops, shorts, and he goes, I'll just write you a check. Okay. So he was just one of them. And then obviously, there was people that I'd read, I've always loved listening to and watching John Maxwell. There was just so many people I like listening to and watching, which helped me get to where I'm at, because, I needed a lot of help. Okay.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
I love that was burned in your brain, because those are the moments that when you go and look back and you go, that was a turning point. This is a guy, because, let's just be candid. It's not like he's different than us. It's just a human being. And you
Yes.
probably were, and you were probably like, I'm the one that found this deal. And it's like, this guy really wants it. He's going to write a check out of his checkbook. I must be doing something. That's right. I love that is going back to, as you're, doing your creative financing, like, is that something that you saw? Cause you were doing this when did you start? What year?
God, I was 36 years old. Again, I'm 54. So that was 18 years ago. Holy crap, time flies. And, I had no money, nothing. I was more broke than a train in an ice storm. I had nothing. Okay. I'm just telling you, I'm not kidding you.
I know.
So, yeah, when I saw it, I said, what, I can at least do some wholesaling. Wholesaling will make you money. It will not create wealth. Okay. Because wholesaling, you start over every single month. You're only as good as your last deal. At the same time, when I started realizing, it says, wow, I'm making these people a lot of money. I'm making a little bit. I'm happy. I'm focusing on comma checks, which are checks with a comma, which are fantastic. Then the goal is to get the comma, move over to the right. You do that by building your business, your knowledge, and everything else. But I was like, man, now I can start cherry picking. And then I realized these people are creating wealth by finding great deals and actually buying and holding. So I went into, now, not only do I still do wholesaling, I also buy and hold. I also have fix and flips to do commercial and some residential properties. So, and it allowed me from doing that, from making $12 an hour, mowing lawns at 36 years old. Okay. Oh, that was.
I love that, but that's why again, it explains a lot. There was the urgency. There was the blue collar work ethic. That was I'm not going to accept this any longer. I'm not going to accept $12 an hour. But my question is, though, you're learning these things, again, 18 years ago, there wasn't YouTube. There wasn't all these, YouTube universities where I learned. Like, where did you even get wholesale? Like, let me ask you this. Was it one of those infomercials at 12 o'clock at night that a lot of people talk about? Was it one of those? I mean, where did you really get it?
I went to one course I took in Syracuse. I was like in my mid 20s, didn't do anything with it, but he talked about, wholesaling, just touched upon it. And that always stuck in my brain. And then when I was, when I started over again, I said, okay, how can I bring value to people? And that's basically, finding cheap properties, and I tell people my motto is, and for people here locally, you find, you sell, Park Avenue properties at Avenue D prices. Okay. For those of you who know the area here in Rochester, you'll know those are A and D type areas. And, so what I especially after doing the first couple of deals, I was like, wow, I can actually keep doing this on a part-time basis with no money. When you get that check and it's got a comma in it, and your check you're used to making for 40 hours a week doesn't have one, and then I said, okay, because I can go as fast as I need to go, not have to worry about anybody else.
See, that's where I think that's where the winners are made, is when there is you're working for yourself, and it's like, I think that part of the urgency, part of like, I don't want to have to wait for my boss to give me leads, right? Like for me, Joe, one of the things was where I worked at our sales company, I had to wait for other people. I had to not call other people's lists, right? And I would get myself into a little bit of trouble from time to time.
Yeah.
Well, that, and I may have crossed and called somebody else's lead. Yeah. And not on purpose, but sometimes it would happen. You'd have different locations. One would be, at this part, and one would be over there, and you'd kind of cross those lines. And I was like, this doesn't make sense. I'm being held back by other, right? Like, so that's that got us a little nutty.
You were going 100 miles an hour. The other people were going 50. And because you were on a mission, they thought they were on a mission. They were in neutral. You weren't. You were in drive. So you were dependent on other people in that other business. That's the problem.
Yes. And I think that's what drove me. And I think for you, I know it is, to entrepreneurship, is I don't want to have to wait for other people.
Exactly.
Right. I don't want to have to wait for other people. Now, speaking about people, I think you're one of the best. And I really do. I think you're one of the best at developing other investors and building a relationship and network where people who are maybe starting out, or they want to work with you, whether they're just brand new or people who have hundreds of units, they still want to work with you. Where did you become that person that is like the guiding light on deals like this? Like, did you always know, like, well, I'm just a good guy? Like, I know you don't want to say that, but what is it that you go, if I do this, it will lead to this? Like, do you have that in the back of your head a little bit? Or is it more of, I just want to see people do well? Is it like, because for me, I'll be candid, it's hard. It's hard to pour into people when I'm not sure it's going to necessarily come back. And I guess that's kind of like messed up to say, but I also think people are sometimes just wasting time. Like, they're themselves wasting time. They haven't done the steps to educate before they're talking to somebody like you. So why do you do it? How do you do it? Because I'm learning now. I need to learn this. I need to get better at this.
Look, I'm still learning. Okay. And the thing is, here's the thing, when I was broke and there was nobody ever wanted to even give me a hand, nothing. And I swore, I said, listen, if I can make it, it's not about giving a hand. There's a big difference between giving a hand out and a hand up. Okay. And do I want to help everybody? We all do. I know you do. You have a heart of gold. What you do on here and the people you affect in the thousands is unbelievable. And then you're also busy seeing your wife, your business, your podcast. You're all over the place. And I get it, and we try to do what we can And, and the thing is that what I tell people, I go, look, the day that I want it more for you than you want it for yourself, we're not working together anymore.
Oh, that's cold.
So, and I mean that very respectfully because, I need to know that we're all on the same page. It's easy, like the saying goes, I can run quicker with 100 people beside me than me carrying one person on my back.
Yeah.
And the thing is that we want to help everybody. And in this business, networking is so important. Oh my God. And I mean, the majority of, and I'm very thankful. Thank God every day for my life. Just the majority of the, business we get is also through referrals, because as you help people, and it's not always about getting paid, you genuinely want to help people. And it makes a really big difference. I remember one time, this was in a whole other business I was involved in, and which really stuck with me. I helped a lady get a check once, and she was almost crying because she goes, wow, I can buy my 2 kids sneakers and I can take them to McDonald's. And that made, wow, most people are like, oh, I can go buy this, I'm going to go this. She was happy because she could get 2 pairs of sneakers, one for each one of her kids, and actually be able to take them to McDonald's. And I was like, wow, that has always stuck with me. Always. And so it's about being able to actually help people, because let's just like you, Marty, the platform you developed, you're actually putting people in a position where they actually change their whole life. They can change their family tree. Okay. You may not think of it that way, but the rest of us who are looking outside in as far as what you're doing, that is exactly what you're doing. You're getting people who actually who never be able to quit their job. You're actually put in a position where they can. Okay. Where they never had that before, where they actually had hope. There's actually light. That's what you do all day long. Okay. So you may not think what you do is a big deal, but it is a way bigger deal. I mean, what happened to me, that one person is nothing compared to what you're doing, because you have thousands of people who listen to you all the time. Okay. And they've connected with you. So just imagine what you're doing.
Well, thank you. That's very nice. And I just, again, I got to tell you, I know it's crazy, but I don't think I'd be doing this if I didn't see you that day at Freya going bananas on the phone, doing deals. And I want to be that guy. I want to be that guy.
I don't believe that. Listen, don't be like me. Be better. And you've already done it. Just be better than better now.
Well, I will say this in regards to the networking and in developing people. When we were starting, Matt and I, you were so gracious, always taking the time. We had no clue what we were doing. But you never made us feel like we didn't know what we were doing. That was, I think, a big difference maker with you and other people, is you never make people feel like they're dumb. That the question they may be asking or the ideas that they're thinking is wrong. You were just there as someone who was like, you guys are going to crush it, even when we never did a deal. And I love that. After a while, you meet a lot of people, the people who are going to make it. And you guys just automatically knew that, Besides, most people who get involved in this business are way smarter than me. I can guarantee you that. I start my computer up with a hammer. I tell it that it works once. Thank God for my assistant, because you have no idea. I love that. I know. I know, but you're doing a great job. We're on a Zoom right now for people that are just listening. And Joe got here right on time. He crushed it. He was actually early. All right.
I was worried about not being able to use the computer. I'm like, oh my God, I need to get on early.
No, you did fantastic. I'm glad that this is working out perfectly. But a question I had for you, because, and this is honestly a question I was thinking about, which I would have asked you off camera, was 2008, 2006, 2007, 2008, right? The recession.
Yeah.
Something's happening, right?
Yes.
Right. Something's happened macro right now, macroeconomically. Something's happened within the market right now. Yes. It is slowing. So take me back to 2007 and 8, like, was there flipping going on? Were you still doing deals? Should I be worried? What are you looking at now? Do you see similarities? Like, just give it to me.
Well, back in just like now, everyone's starting to see the shift. Okay. Now, when the meltdown happened, good or bad, my business took off. Okay. And the thing is that I was focusing on the marketing part. So that marketing part, I was already established. And what happened was what I call T&C took place. Time and circumstances will change people's minds about prices, about their situation, everything else. Okay. And what happened was that they couldn't find the buyers. There weren't buyers. That's when they called people like us. Okay. And I hate using the word investor. I like using the word buyer. Investor has a negative connotation. I just don't. It's a whole other ballgame we'll talk into when it comes to strength of language. At the same time, the exact same thing happened where the market started slowing down, and the ones who survived in real estate, because real estate, a lot of people come into real estate, they have hopes and dreams of becoming a multimillionaire. Okay. And, I tell people, they're like, well, I'm in love with real estate. Great. And I'm very nice about this. I say, okay, what happens to 50% of marriages? Divorce. Okay. A lot of people come into real estate, they get in, they get out. Okay. Now, if you're able to stick through this unbelievable time we had the last 2 or 3 years in real estate, especially, 5 years, especially the last 2 or 3. And even if you were struggling a little bit, when the economy goes down, people are going to be searching us out. And we'll already be positioned and poised to be able to go in. And it's not about going in and taking advantage of people. It wasn't meant to be used in that spirit. What I mean by that is that these people are looking for a light at the end of the tunnel because stuff is going to happen. Okay. Right now we're in that transition stage where everyone's starting to see, like right now, the C and D type areas are getting affected. I've noticed that a huge amount of price reductions. There isn't as many delayed negotiations unless you got some really great deal, in the suburb or great part. You'll still get people looking. Okay, you'll still get some multiple offers, but some people think, oh God, real estate's going to die. No, it's not. We'll be able to accumulate. We'll be able to buy and help people get out of their situation. After that was over, the meltdown was over. A few years after that, things were, things didn't go up. They were pretty flat. They were going through, and then years. I'll give you a perfect example. I had somebody through our RIA group approach me. They had a package deal. And I said, holy smokes, it's through one of the local banks. And I ended up getting, I bought 15 properties.
Wow.
Okay. Now I bought them all at 50 cents on the dollar. I flipped some. Well, actually, no, I ended up assigning some and I did a double close and assigning some of them out. I flipped one of them. I had 9 or 10 of them left over. I can't remember. Altogether, that was about $330,000.
Wow.
Of which I used a hard money lender. And I was very happy about it. I was paying 12% interest, by the way. People are like, are you crazy? Here's the whole situation. $330,000, right? A few years ago, I had it appraised. This is before the market even started taking off like crazy. It was $1.12 million.
Love it.
Okay. That was one of the packages. So it gets to a point where we're going to be able to accumulate. We just have to basically see, I tell people is that, our job is to basically sort. We sort for the best deal as fast as possible. Amateurs convince, professionals, we sort for the best deal as fast as possible.
Ooh,
that's what you want to get to. Okay.
Yes.
So, and the thing is that people are like, well, these deals aren't going to come to me. Well, if you keep saying that, it's not going to. But as long as we're out there doing what we have to do every single day, they're going to get to you. It wasn't like it fell on my lap, But once you're like you get tons of calls. You get people who bring you stuff all the time because you're networked, you're well known. you know? And the thing is that, and what I tell people is right now is the best time to really ramp up your business. And people ask me, what do you do? I go, I'm a professional marketer first. My byproduct is real estate. Okay. So, and people are like, well, I don't understand. I go, imagine if I had $1 million cash and you were broke. You advertised for properties and I didn't. We both wanted to buy them. I was liquid $1 million and you had nothing, but you advertised and I didn't. They're going to call you even though you have no money.
100%.
Professional marketer first, byproduct is going to be real estate. And I tell people, you got Target, you got Walmart, you got all these people that make billions in the beat a year, every single year, and they market every single day. News, magazine, radio, TV. They make in the billions and they still market every single day. Walmart are professional marketers first. Their byproduct is all the products that they sell.
That's such a great mindset.
That's just the way you have to be. And right now, getting ready for what's about to happen, we may not have as big of a downturn. We don't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the market's up or down. You want to build your marketing business first, because that is going to be the foundation for everything else you have going on. Okay.
What is your thought on, as we're talking about this downturn? Like, for one, I've never seen one, right? I was in college. We never experienced anything like this. I mean, candidly, if you bought in the last 6-7 years, it didn't matter. You probably looked great. It really didn't. If you held it, if you bought 5 years ago and you've held it today, even if it was a shitty deal, you still turned out great, right? If you bought
Absolutely.
2 years ago and held what you thought was a bad deal, it still turns out to a good deal. Are you, and I don't want to make it sound sinister because it's not, are you just excited about, hey, I saw this already and now I am prepared with my knowledge, my marketing, and money? I didn't have that before.
I didn't have any money.
All right. I didn't have that in 2008, right?
Yes.
To the level, like, you got to be licking your chops a bit.
Well, yes. But again, it's about helping people get out of bad situations. You want to be the light for people, not the darkness.
Love it.
And, some people are like, I can't wait to just go in there and take these people's houses. When the last time happened, there were times where I actually had to help people, especially when we had to do the short sales and everything else. The bank didn't even want us helping the seller, the homeowner, to even find another place. I told the bank to go, I can't even say it, but basically in a nice way, I told them to go jump in a lake, and I didn't say it that way. And I actually helped the homeowners with first, last month, and security deposit. Okay. Because you're going into these people's houses. These people have families, kids, they're dealing with issues with the families, the neighbors and everything else. So you have to be respectful to that. And by doing that, when people know that you're going to put them first, the deals are going to come to you. Hey, you know what? This gentleman helped me out. You're in that same situation. Hey, you're a coworker. You got laid off too. Here's what I found. Here's what I did. Call this guy.
I love that. That's awesome. That's always good to remember. And I 100% agree because, we're both on the same, karma. It's just going to come back, and I really I'm looking more at it like what are your thoughts? Like, okay, these banks that gave these, and I'm not saying these banks were wrong, but you look at some of these astronomical prices that some of these houses sold for, there is a little bit of like when you saw a appraiser come and it's like, oh, that's exactly the price that they wanted at. And it was 150,000 more than a lot of the houses in that neighborhood. It still makes you kind of scratch your head and go, well, this is the bank's problem in a way, and because a lot of the deals that I'm sure you've done with short sales or stuff that's in those kind of, the people in the house don't want to be in the house anymore.
No,
right.
They don't.
And they want out. And I always, like, when you're addressing that situation, I'm just curious, do you come at it with like, hey, this is not your first option. This shouldn't be one of your first options. Like, if it's a short sale type situation, foreclosure type situation, it should be, hey, first of all, do you want to stay here? Because if you do, then maybe we need to go and do a sort of bank modification, right? Like that should be not right. Like let's get that on the table. When Joe and I are talking, like we are number one, it's like, hey, how can you figure this out before you have to go through this? Because you don't want to. Basically, what we're trying to do is stop a foreclosure, which is going to screw their credit. So the second and only option, the really only option, is a short sale. Were there short sales in 2008? Was there that?
There was tons of short sales.
Okay.
I mean, I think at that point, Bank of America had less than 100 people in the short sale department, which is called loss mitigation. And then they end up having close to 30,000 at one point.
Oh my God.
Because they were doing so many because of what happened with the meltdown. Now, it's probably not going to get that bad. And, even if it does, we're still going to be okay.
Okay.
Because, you and I, we're prepared. Knowledge-wise, we're a lot more, I should say, experienced than the last time it happened. You could walk into a property and you could, 30 seconds, okay? Whether you're upside down, whether it's worth anything or who knows what, it's going to be the same thing here.
I think it can be. And I really do. And I think that's why it's so important to have some creative strategies in your tool belt, whether that's knowing how the short sale process works, knowing, what a wholesale deal would look like. But you know what it comes down to, Joe, and you said this already, is marketing. If you're waiting, right, like we've joked about this off camera before talking, if you're waiting for deals to come across your desk, it ain't going to happen for you.
You are correct.
Like people are being whimsical, waiting for something to come across their desk, a deal. Yes. It's just so funny. Let me ask you this, because I've always wondered, another, a self-employed entrepreneur, what does your schedule look like? What's your daily routine? Like, is there like a couple of things you got to do in the morning? Because I know for me, if I win the morning, a lot of times I'm going to win the day, right? I like to think that way. What is some like your daily routines? Like what's your day look like, if you don't mind sharing?
I like to wake up around 5:30 a.m. Okay. Do I have to? No. I like giving myself that extra hour and a half. I get up, I read, I listen to YouTube every single day. It's a free university. I get my phone calls in. Sometimes I'll even call my attorney at 6:30 in the morning because he's actually there now, believe it or not. But I like being able, because the extra hour and a half a day is an extra 10 and a half hours a week. It's an extra 40 hours a month extra. Okay. It's like getting an extra work week, but you're not doing it for your boss. You're doing it for yourself. Okay. So add that up over the course of a year, you're over 500 hours.
Love it.
And it's not for your boss. Do you have to do that? No. And at the same time, I'm like, okay, do you want to get out of where you're at? Because everyone tells you, I don't have time. I got kids. I got family. 99% of the people get involved in real estate to have a job, and we get it. And it's like, how bad do you want it? I used to go to bed at 1:00 in the morning, but I knew I had to do what I had to do to get out of the situation that I was in. People are like, well, Joe, they'd say, well, Joe, I got to work. Great. No problem. How long do you want to keep having that problem for? Okay. Put in it, even if it's a half hour, do something. Every single day, I am constantly learning and listening every day. I tell people your strength of language will always correlate with your success in your business and your bank account. And I learned that through YouTube, and it's free. It is free. And I get people like, listen to YouTube? No. Okay. So what's going to happen when you get a property? Okay. And you have to go against somebody who knows what they're doing. Okay. You're going to go, I'll give you a perfect example. Oh my God. A few weeks ago, we just closed on 2 weeks ago, we closed on a property in Maplewood, three units. The guy before me offered him 125. I offered him 110. He took my offer. Same offer, cash, closed in 10 days. Closed in 30 days. But I offered him 110. The other guy offered him 125. Okay. And it was all from listening and learning on YouTube, just listening, learn how to speak. I love it. So for me, what I've learned is I categorize people in 4 different categories. and I talk to people. When I find out who they are, what they are, whales, sharks, sea urchins, and dolphins, when I find out what they are, I talk to them in their language. The guy that I was talking to was a whale type guy. He likes helping people. He was helping his mom. He was helping his brother. He was taking care of his brother. His mom was in the hospital. The guy that went over there, and I know the guy that went there, he is all about money, which is a shark mentality. So you had a guy who had a shark mentality trying to talk to a guy who has a whale mentality, who wants to help people. This guy's just talking about money. This guy didn't care about the money. He wanted to know the house was going to be put into great hands.
Wow.
So as soon as I found out what he did, I just talked to him in his language, and he goes, Joe, and he showed me the offer. He goes, look, 125, but I'm going to take your offer. Okay. And it's not about manipulating. It was about him and I being able to communicate. So where did I learn that? I learned that from listening and watching stuff on YouTube. Okay. So, and it's free. It is free 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Do you think a lot of that, Joe, has to do with you, though, listening to them?
I ask questions. And that's when I figured out, like, I like, someone tells me they're an engineer, boom, they're sea urchin. Those are engineers. Those are accountants. They talk in numbers. Okay. When I talk to an engineer, I don't talk about, hey, you can take this money and go away on a vacation. Hey, listen, Mr. Seller, I know you want this property. At the same time, I can offer you this. And now you can take that same amount of money, whereas you're not making any money here. You can buy something else, make a higher rate of return, maybe get a higher rent, put that money away, and then obviously do whatever you got to do. I'm not going to talk to him like I talk to someone who's a dolphin. A dolphin is somebody who likes to travel. They want to have adventure. They don't want to have to worry about getting that phone call when they're skiing in wherever, Utah, saying, hey, my toilet's overflowed. I need a plumber. Okay. Hey, listen, Mr. Seller, who is a sea urchin, who's a traveler who wants to go off as a dolphin. Hey, listen, this is what I can pay you for the property. And also at the same time, you can take that cash, you could put it somewhere else, you could save it, or you could spend it on your next trip. You never have to worry about getting that phone call again from that plumber while you're trying to go down a hill. And all of a sudden you're down there, you're trying to enjoy yourself. And you spend $5,000 on a vacation and you're trying to find a plumber. All I'm doing is speaking their language.
I love it. Your storytelling, that's the thing, is you're really painting pictures in people's heads. And like you said, it has to do with asking questions. And it has to also do with listening to what they're saying. And it's not enough because I think, Joe, it's not enough to know how to listen, right? You got to have that part. And it's not enough to have to listen, right? Because that's a part of it. But you need to want to listen to that person. I think that's like a big difference. You got to want to listen. And that's how you can really, because like when you said you offered 110, the other guy did 125. Well, it was because of the rapport you built. Yeah. And that's through asking the questions. And I think that rapport will, buy you a house more than money will ever do that. And you just showed that.
And by the way, that property's worth around $220,000. We're going to put about 20 into it, maybe 25. Okay. Now you can do the math, what I got paid to watch YouTube.
Yeah. There you go. Free resource.
That's just one deal. Okay. And we do tons of deals, just like you do, we're friendly competitors, you and I, and so, for me, and I'm not the smartest guy in the world. Believe me, I'm not. If you saw me, you'd be like, how did this guy make it? If this guy can make it, a tree can make it in real estate. Okay. So it's just, I like to keep things very simple.
I would disagree with you. I would think that you are the hardest working investor, a buyer that's out there right now. I think that we have been able to use some tools that have allowed things to be a little simpler, but nobody's out hustling you. I really don't think they are.
I don't know about that. I'm just trying to keep up with everybody else. It's like you, man.
But that's the thing. I think in this field, and you're right, because I am not the sharpest tool in the shed. I think, though, I would go against anybody work wise, and I wouldn't go against you. But there's people I would go against work wise and go, okay, let's see how bad you really want it. Let's see how bad you're willing to work for it. And so I think that's the great equalizer in this business. I think it does take some time, right? There's definitely like a learning curve. But if you are willing to go through that and eat some poop and just get punched in the face a bit in the beginning, then good things happen. What's the marketing strategy that you see is going to be what brings 2023 and beyond to be a really good year for you? Is it, because you're one of the only people, and I love it, that does billboard marketing. And here's the difference. It's not just billboard marketing. It's billboard marketing with your face on it. I think that's a huge difference, is that you're willing to do that because it is something that people don't necessarily always want to do, but you are your own brand. And I think it fits you perfectly because I just think that a lot of people would shy away from that. And because you win there. Is it, what is it? What do you think is really a big separator for people? If someone were to start, obviously billboard is a little bit tougher to get into when you first start, right?
Yeah. I tell people, obviously, you have to be able to start, first of all, start with your inner core, your inner circle of people. Get on your Facebook. If you can do stuff on the internet, obviously internet's the way to go. I know, just like myself, we also do VAs, but not everybody can get started with that,
Right.
I always tell people, especially when you're beginning, and everything we do applies to people. If you're a beginner, if you're a wholesaler, if you're a flipper, if you're a holder, everything I do applies to that. And a lot of times I tell people, I go, look, when you talk to people, and again, strength of language, I have a different conversation. Most people are like, listen, make sure you tell somebody you want to buy their house. If you know anyone looking to sell a house, call me. And most people, when you tell them that, they're going to be like, yeah, okay, whatever. And they put it in the back of the head, whatever. And they're thinking in their minds that, okay, if you were to say that to me, Marty, they're thinking, okay, Marty wants to buy a $200,000 house with a white picket fence for $190,000. No. Okay.
Right.
So when I have that, I have the exact same conversation, only I do it differently. Okay. Different language, and say, listen, I'm buying houses now. Okay. First of all, not only that, I'm working with other people who are very experienced. More importantly, if you know anybody looking to buy a house or sell a house or rent, who has a rental, or, tell them to call me. They're like, well, Joe, everybody I know owns a house. They don't rent. Great. Who do you know? Here's the difference. Here's strength of language. Who do you know just lost their job and has to sell their house? Who do you know just inherited a house and needs to get rid of it? Who do you know just got promoted and needs to sell their house? Who do you know has a house with a tarp on it and they have to sell their house? Even better, who do you know has a house with an overflowing toilet and a tarp? I want to know about that house, because to me, an overflowing toilet is like smelling a bouquet of roses. It's like opportunity. Okay. And then people are like, well, Joe, everybody owns a house. Everybody knows rents. Great. Who do you know has a crap ass landlord? Who do you know rents a house and the landlord's not fixing the house? Who do you know has a landlord and the landlord lives out of town? Who do you know is a landlord and is sick and tired of being a landlord? So I paint that picture. And then I've had people call me up and say, hey, Joe, I saw a house with a tarp on it and I thought of you. Great. Where's this house?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. And, and then obviously, and I, just like you do and everybody else, we pay people for referrals, and I tell them that. And again, and I've gone over this with you. I don't know if other people have seen it, but whenever I hand somebody my business card, I don't just hand it to them, because whenever you hand someone whenever you hand someone a business card, they look at it, you give it to them, you look at it, you put it on your desk, and then you put it in a drawer, and most people lose it or do whatever. When I hand someone a business card, because my wallet, the way I have it, I have my credit card with me too. Again, these are for people who want it, especially just costs nothing. It's $20 to get cards. I say, look, they ask me for my card. I say, look, I'm going to give you this card, but if you take this card and throw it away, I'm not going to give it to you, because it's directly connected to this card. That's my credit card. And they're like, what? I go, yeah. When you call me, okay, and I close on a house, I go, this card turns magic. I go, you see this black strip? It will magically appear on this card. Okay. And I'll pay you between $500 and $1,000 in cash if I buy that house. And the bigger the deal, the more I'm going to pay. Okay. So if you're going to take this card and throw it away, I'll give it to somebody else. Now, does everybody keep it? No. I will tell you this. I've got people going on 5, 6, 7 years that have my card on a magnet on their refrigerator. Hey, Joe, you still buying houses? Yeah. What do you got? You still paying? Yeah, absolutely. What do you got?
I love that. People working for you because you're doing the right thing. You're setting the right, you're setting the story of like, hey, this is not just a card. This is an absolute money. This is a meal ticket. Yep. Get me a lead and you will get paid. I really love that. And I really love that people constantly want to feed you deals because they know you're going to close. They know you're going to buy it if the deal's right, of course. But it's something that and here's the other thing that I want people to know about Joe. If you give him a lead, you know he's going to actually work it. I think that's a big difference. A lot of people will maybe get around to it or somebody will at some point contact. No, it's like that day. It's like burning in your pocket when you get something from somebody. And I appreciate that because I've just recently.
You're the same way.
Just recently, Joe's done that for me because he has a specialty. Which guys, by the way, if you do have a fire, burn house, any other properties, of course, send them to Joe. But especially a burn house. You get a burn house anywhere in Monroe County or Wayne, Ontario, wherever, Livingston, talk to Joe because no one's better at dealing with those and figuring those out. That's a very niche market. I don't mess with them. So I send it to Joe. Joe has a specialty. He's got many of them, but that's just one. So I wanted people to know.
Appreciate that.
Of course. I want to be cognizant of Joe's time. This has been a lot of fun. I told him 45 minutes. It's been 45 minutes. Joe, where can people find you if they, have a deal, if they do want to learn more, where can they get in touch with you?
They can, my website is 1-855-JoeBuys.com. My email address is 1-855-JoeBuys@gmail.com. You can also, that's also my phone number. If you do that, you'll just dial it on your pad, or you can always reach me on my cell, which is 585-802-7052. And, but the best way is on the 1-855 number. And then, you leave me messages. And by the way, I appreciate you even having me on here, Marty. This platform is just incredible from where it started to where it is now. And it's just exponentially growing. It's just, I've always been amazed by it. I absolutely love and appreciate what you do because it's hard. Because you're not only talking about it, you're actually doing it. A lot of people do podcasts aren't doing it anymore. This is what I used to do. This is what I used to do. Now, this is what you are doing today. So I just have to say thank you very much for that. I mean, just fan-freaking-tastic. And what are you? How old are you?
I'm 33.
33 years old. Oh, my God. Yeah. So what you created just over the last few years, in the last, 7 years, just incredible. Absolutely. I mean, I have to bow to you.
No, you're like I said, you are an inspiration. You still are. Somebody who is still hungry, is somebody who it keeps us motivated. This guy is still doing it. Let's effing go. Joe, thanks for being on the show. Everybody, you just listened to somebody who I believe is the godfather of real estate in Rochester and beyond. So, Joe, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Marty. Have a great day.
Thanks,
Go
guys.
do real estate.
See you guys.
Thank you for tuning into the Marty Grisani Show. If you're listening on Apple Podcast, leave us an honest rating and review. If you're on Spotify, make sure you follow us for weekly episodes.